They kick in the wrong door at the wrong time. Wood splinters across hardwood floor. 3 officers storm through the wreckage, flashlights cutting through darkness like swords. The lead detective's boot crunches broken door frame. His sergeant follows, hand on weapon. Behind them, their captain surveys the destruction. The woman bolts upright in bed, sheets tangled around her legs. Harsh light blinds her momentarily. She's wearing nothing but underwear and a tank top. "Hands where we can see them!" the detective barks. She raises her hands slowly. Her eyes adjust to the chaos. Furniture overturned. Drawers yanked open. Papers scattered everywhere. Then the detective's flashlight beam freezes. On the bedroom wall hangs a navy blue jacket. Gold letters spell FBI across the back. The light holds steady for 3 seconds. The detective's radio crackles. The sergeant's breathing changes. Something shifts in the room's energy. The jacket hangs there like a silent witness. But they don't stop. They can't stop now. Starting in the middle of explosive action while immediately establishing the central irony that will drive the entire story. Wrong target, federal agent. She watches them tear through her bedroom with the calm of someone taking inventory. Her eyes track badge numbers. She notes exact times on the digital clock. When the sergeant roughly searches her dresser, she memorizes his face. Most victims panic. She calculates. The detective finds her purse on the nightstand. His hands move with practiced efficiency. Too practiced. He slides something small into the side pocket before pulling it back out. "Well, well," he announces. "Look what we have here." The woman's lips curve into the faintest smile. Her federal credentials folder sits in plain sight on the dresser. They walked right past it. On her nightstand, an encrypted phone charges silently. 15 years of federal cases live in that device. The detective holds up a small plastic bag. White powder catches the flashlight beam. The woman's fingers trace the edge of her bedsheet. Underneath, something they missed entirely. The phone on her nightstand holds 15 years of secrets. The detective has no idea who he just woke up, but she knows exactly why they're here. This isn't random. This isn't a mistake. This is the moment she's been waiting for. The federal case files scattered across her floor tell a different story than the one they think they're writing. Her digital recorder, hidden in the bedroom lamp, has been running since the door exploded. Every word, every planted piece of evidence, every illegal entry, all of it captured. The sergeant searches her closet now. His hands shake slightly as he works. Good. He should be nervous. The woman remains perfectly still, but her mind races through protocols, federal evidence procedures, constitutional violations, civil rights law. They have no idea what they've just walked into. The woman sits straighter on her bed. "I need to see your warrant." "We don't need a warrant for a noise complaint, sweetheart." "You do for a search this extensive." Her voice carries authority that makes the sergeant pause mid-search. "You've exceeded the scope of any noise complaint investigation." The detective's jaw tightens. "You some kind of lawyer?" "I know my rights under the Fourth Amendment." She keeps her voice level. Professional. "This is an illegal search." The captain steps forward from the doorway. "Ma'am, we received reports of drug activity at this address." "From whom?" "What specific probable cause justified forced entry?" 3 men exchange glances. The question hangs in the air like smoke. The sergeant recovers first. "Anonymous tip. Said you were dealing." Anonymous tips don't justify warrantless searches of private residences. The woman's legal knowledge flows effortlessly. Miranda v. Arizona. Terry versus Ohio. Mapp versus Ohio. The detective's face darkens. "You think you're smart? I think you're violating federal law." The words hit like a slap. Federal law. Not state law. Federal. The captain clears his throat. Let's just get her processed. But the woman isn't finished. I need your badge numbers. All three of you. You're not in a position to make demands, the sergeant growls. Every citizen has the right to identify officers conducting searches. She looks directly at each man. Badge numbers. Now. The detective's hand instinctively covers his badge. You don't need... The law disagrees. Her calm persistence unnerves them. Most suspects they arrest are panicked, confused, easy to manipulate. This woman dissects their procedure like a surgeon. The captain provides his number reluctantly. The others follow. She repeats each number back perfectly, cementing them in memory. I also need confirmation that your body cameras are recording. The sergeant's hand moves to his chest cam. The red light blinks steadily. They're recording. Good. So when this goes to federal court, there will be a complete record. Federal court. There's that word again. The detective leans closer. Listen, lady. We found drugs in your house. You can cooperate, or we can make this real hard for you. Are you threatening me? I'm giving you options. The woman studies his face. Option 1. I confess to crimes I didn't commit. Option 2. You manufacture additional charges. The room goes silent except for radio static. You got a smart mouth, the sergeant says. I have constitutional rights. The detective pulls out handcuffs. You're under arrest for possession of a controlled substance. As the metal clicks around her wrists, the woman speaks clearly toward the body cameras. I'm being arrested based on planted evidence. The officers conducted an illegal search without probable cause or warrant. I did not consent to this search. Shut up, the detective hisses. I have the right to remain silent, but I also have the right to speak. Her voice never wavers. This is a false arrest based on fabricated evidence. The sergeant grabs her arm roughly. Move. She complies but continues speaking. I'm requesting immediate legal counsel. I'm requesting a supervisor. I'm requesting a review of the body camera footage. Each request follows proper protocol. Her knowledge of procedure is too precise, too professional. The captain studies her carefully. Something isn't right. As they lead her through the destroyed living room, she catalogs every violation. Excessive force, unlawful entry, evidence tampering, civil rights violations. The detective's next question makes the sergeant's hand freeze. How do you know so much about police procedure? The woman doesn't answer. She doesn't need to. Her federal credentials folder still sits on the dresser, unnoticed, but her silence speaks louder than words. The planted evidence isn't the only thing out of place in this room. At the front door, the sergeant realizes she knows more than any civilian should. Her questions are too specific. Her language too precise. Her calm too complete. Normal people don't quote case law during arrests. Normal people don't request body camera reviews. Normal people don't know federal court procedures. The detective pushes her toward the patrol car, but doubt creeps into his voice. You ever been arrested before? No. Then how do I what? Her question turns the interrogation around. The detective doesn't finish his sentence. Can't finish it. Because the answer might be worse than he's prepared to handle. The sergeant opens the car door. Radio chatter fills the night air. Dispatch calls filter through static. Normal police business continues while they make the biggest mistake of their careers. The woman slides into the back seat without resistance. Through the window, she watches them collect evidence from her home. They bag the planted drugs. They photograph the damage they caused. They document everything except the truth. But the truth documents itself. Her encrypted phone still charges on the nightstand. Her federal files still scatter across the floor. Her credentials still sit in plain sight. And the digital recorder in the bedroom lamp still runs. The detective slams the car door. Through the glass, she hears him talking to the captain. Something's off about her. How so? She knows too much. The captain glances back at the car, at the woman sitting calmly in custody. Run her name when we get to the station. Already planning on it, but they've already waited too long, made too many mistakes, left too much evidence. The woman in the back seat isn't their victim. She's their reckoning. The patrol car pulls away from the destroyed house. Broken glass glitters in the streetlights behind them. The detective drives while the sergeant rides shotgun. The captain follows in a separate vehicle. Standard procedure for high-value arrests. But this isn't standard anything. The woman sits in the back cage, hands cuffed behind her. The metal partition separates her from the officers. She uses the reflection in the window to study their faces. The sergeant turns around. You gonna tell us what you really do for work? She doesn't respond. Strong, silent type, huh? The detective adjusts his rearview mirror. We'll see how long that lasts. Through the radio, dispatch crackles with routine calls. Domestic disturbance on 5th Street. Traffic stop on the highway. The night continues its normal rhythm. They have no idea what they've set in motion. The sergeant's voice drops to a whisper. Think she heard anything about the investigation? The detective glances in the mirror. What investigation? You know what investigation. A pause. The radio fills the silence. She can't know about that, the detective says finally. But doubt threads through his voice. The woman memorizes every word, every admission, every tell. They turn onto Main Street. The police station glows ahead, all concrete and fluorescent lighting. A fortress of bureaucracy where they'll try to disappear her into the system. The detective parks in the prisoner transport area. Security cameras track their arrival. Listen, the sergeant says, turning around again. This can go easy or hard. Depends on you. The woman meets his eyes through the partition. Which way preserves your careers? The question hits like ice water. The detective kills the engine. What's that supposed to mean? It means you should think carefully about your next moves. The sergeant's laugh sounds forced. Lady, you're the one in handcuffs. For now. 2 words. Simple, quiet, terrifying. The detective gets out first, opens her door. The cuffs bite into her wrists as he helps her stand. We're gonna teach you some respect, he mutters. She doesn't resist as he guides her toward the building. But she catalogs every rough grab, every unnecessary push, every violation of prisoner transport protocols. The body cameras record it all. Inside the station, fluorescent lights buzz overhead. The booking desk sergeant looks up from his paperwork. What we got? Cocaine possession. Resisting arrest. The woman speaks clearly. I didn't resist arrest. Shut up, the detective snaps. The booking sergeant frowns. Something in her voice doesn't match the charges. I need to make a phone call, she says. You'll get your call when we say so. That's illegal. The booking sergeant's frown deepens. Ma'am, you have the right to... She knows her rights, the detective interrupts. She won't shut up about them. Standard booking procedure begins. Fingerprints, photographs, personal property inventory. When they process her wallet, the booking sergeant pauses. Says here, you work for the federal government. The detective's hand freezes over the keyboard. What kind of federal work? The woman stays silent. She doesn't need to speak. Her employment verification will do it for her. The booking sergeant types her information into the system. The computer processes the data, cross-references federal databases. The screen flashes a warning. Detective, the booking sergeant calls, you need to see this. The detective approaches the terminal, reads the screen. His face goes pale. The woman's federal ID number triggers something unexpected. The system flags her as a federal law enforcement officer, 15-year veteran, current assignment, Internal Affairs Division. The detective's radio crackles with an urgent message, but it's too late for urgency. They've already crossed every line. The booking sergeant looks between the screen and the woman in handcuffs. His training kicks in. Federal officers require different protocols, special notifications. "I need to make some calls," he says quietly. The detective grabs his arm. "Not yet." "Detective, if she's federal, she's a suspect." Nothing more. But the computer screen tells a different story, and computers don't lie. The woman watches their panic build, sees the moment they realize their mistake, the exact second their confidence cracks. She's been waiting 15 years for this moment, for these 3 officers to finally make the mistake that would bring them down. Tonight, they didn't just kick in the wrong door. They kicked in the door of the federal agent investigating them. Officer Sarah Johnson reviews the body camera footage in the equipment room. Her hands shake as she fast-forwards through the raid. The timestamp reads 2:17 a.m. Door exploding inward. Woman in underwear, hands raised. Calm voice requesting warrant information. Johnson rewinds, plays it again. Something's wrong with this arrest. The woman quotes case law like a textbook, requests badge numbers with professional precision, knows federal court procedures better than most lawyers. Johnson pauses the footage, studies the woman's face. No panic, no confusion, just cold calculation, like she's gathering evidence. The next clip shows the planted drugs. Johnson's stomach turns. The detective's hands move too smoothly, too practiced. He slides the baggie into the purse, then immediately discovers it. She's seen this before, heard whispers about evidence planting, but never witnessed it directly, never had it recorded on her own body camera. Johnson fast-forwards to the arrest. The woman's voice cuts through radio static. "I'm being arrested based on planted evidence. Clear, direct, legally precise." Johnson runs the woman's name through the federal database. The results make her blood freeze. FBI agent, 15 years of service, currently assigned to Public Corruption Unit. The same unit investigating their department. Johnson's hands tremble as she reaches for her phone. The FBI tip line number is memorized, required training for all officers. She dials. Federal Bureau of Investigation. "This is Officer Johnson, Metro Police." "I need to report a federal agent in custody." Silence on the line. "Can you repeat that?" "We arrested a federal agent tonight. I think it was intentional." The line goes quiet except for typing sounds. "Agent's name?" Johnson reads from the database. "Diana Marshall, FBI Public Corruption Unit." More typing, faster now. "Officer, where is Agent Marshall now?" "Holding cell. They're trying to process her on drug charges." "Are you certain about the drug charges?" Johnson closes her eyes, sees the planted evidence again. "The drugs were planted. I have it on body camera." The FBI agent's voice sharpens. "Do not let anyone delete that footage. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir. We're sending a team." "Keep Agent Marshall safe." The line goes dead. Johnson sits in the equipment room, surrounded by charging body cameras. Each device holds fragments of corruption, pieces of a puzzle she's finally seeing clearly. Her radio crackles. Captain Wilson's voice cuts through static. "All units, expedite the Marshall processing. I want her transferred to county within the hour." Johnson's blood turns to ice. They're rushing the case, trying to bury it in the county system where federal oversight is harder. She grabs the evidence bag containing Diana's personal items. Inside, mixed with wallet and keys, are federal credentials. FBI Special Agent Diana Marshall. Badge number embedded in gold metal. The same badge number that appears on every internal investigation report filed against their unit. Johnson pieces it together. Diana isn't just any federal agent. She's the agent investigating them. Has been for months, maybe years. Every suspicious arrest, every questionable search, every planted evidence case. Diana Marshall's signature appears on the investigation files. And tonight, they gave her everything she needed to destroy them. Johnson's conscience wars with her loyalty. These men trained her, protected her, became her second family. But family doesn't plant evidence on innocent people. Family doesn't violate constitutional rights. Family doesn't arrest federal agents investigating corruption. Her phone buzzes. Text message from the detective. Delete the body cam footage. Equipment malfunction. Johnson stares at the message. At the clear order to obstruct justice. She types back, copy that. But she doesn't delete anything. Instead, she uploads the footage to a secure federal server. The same server Diana Marshall probably uses for evidence collection. Johnson's next decision will define her career and her conscience. Captain Wilson appears in the doorway. Johnson, did you wipe that footage? Working on it, sir. Wilson studies her face, looking for tells, for signs of betrayal. Good. This stays between us. Johnson nods. Of course, sir. But Wilson's pressure suggests this isn't their first cover-up. The federal investigation rumors suddenly make sense. Diana Marshall isn't just investigating corruption. She's been living it, documenting it, building an airtight case, and Johnson just became her key witness. FBI Assistant Director James Rodriguez receives Johnson's call at home. His secure phone buzzes on the nightstand, Federal Emergency Protocol. He answers on the first ring. Rodriguez. Sir, this is Agent Marshall's handler. We have a situation. Rodriguez sits up immediately. Diana Marshall is his best undercover investigator. 15 years of flawless service. What's the status? Local police arrested her an hour ago. Drug possession charges. The arresting officers are her targets. Rodriguez's jaw tightens. They made her? Unknown, but they planted evidence. We have body camera confirmation. The assistant director is already reaching for his clothes. Where is she now? Metro Police holding. They're rushing county transfer. Negative. Stop that transfer immediately. Rodriguez activates his emergency team while still on the phone. Federal Rapid Response mobilizes within minutes. Sir, there's more. Agent Marshall's emergency beacon just activated. Rodriguez freezes. Diana's beacon only activates in life-threatening situations. When? 30 seconds ago. The beacon signal appears on Rodriguez's phone screen. GPS coordinates lock onto the police station. Full federal response, now. Rodriguez calls his second-in-command. Operation Clean House is compromised. Marshall's in custody. Jesus, how bad? They arrested our lead investigator while she was gathering evidence against them. Rodriguez's team assembles at the federal building. Tactical units, evidence specialists, internal affairs investigators. The corruption case they've been building for 2 years just became a federal emergency. Diana Marshall doesn't just know about police corruption. She is the corruption investigation. Rodriguez briefs his team in the command vehicle. Agent Marshall has been undercover for 18 months. Tonight's arrest gives us everything we need. How so? They just provided direct evidence of the conspiracy we've been investigating. The surveillance van positions outside the police station. Electronic equipment locks onto internal communications. Police radios crackle with nervous chatter. Officers discussing damage control and keeping stories straight. Rodriguez listens through federal intercept equipment. Every word recorded, every conspiracy documented. Sir, his communications officer reports, we're intercepting destruction orders. They're trying to wipe body camera footage. Too late for that. Rodriguez opens Diana's case file. 15 years of corruption investigations, hundreds of documented violations, dozens of officers implicated. Tonight's arrest connects every piece. The surveillance van's equipment hums quietly. Federal warrants are already prepared, signed, ready for execution. Director, we have movement inside. They're transferring Marshall to county. Not happening. Rodriguez radios his legal team. Execute the federal warrants. Full jurisdiction. The local police don't know what's coming. For 2 years, Diana Marshall gathered evidence of systematic corruption, planted evidence, false arrests, civil rights violations. She documented everything. And tonight, They handed her the final piece of the puzzle. Rodriguez checks Diana's beacon again, still transmitting from inside the police station. Team leaders, prepare for immediate entry. His radio crackles with confirmations. Federal agents surround the building. Rodriguez's order changes everything. Full federal response now. The operation Diana Marshall spent 15 years building is about to conclude. Not with her arrest, with theirs. The surveillance van's equipment locks onto the police station's internal systems, body camera servers, evidence databases, internal communications. Everything Diana needs to complete her case, and everything Rodriguez needs to end the corruption. Diana's beacon reveals she's exactly where they suspected she would be, in the heart of the conspiracy, gathering the final evidence that will destroy it. Rodriguez speaks into his radio. All units, federal authority is now in effect. The local police think they caught their biggest threat. They just activated their worst nightmare. Diana sits alone in interview room 3. Gray walls, metal table, single chair bolted to the floor. The fluorescent light flickers overhead like a dying heartbeat. The detective enters with a thick file folder, props it on the table with theatrical flair. Let's talk about your drug business. Diana doesn't respond. Her eyes track the security camera in the corner. Red recording light blinks steadily. We found cocaine in your house. High-grade stuff. Street value around $5,000. Planted evidence. The detective leans back. You sure about that? I watched you plant it. That's a serious accusation. Diana's voice stays level. It's a documented fact. The detective opens his file. Pages of fabricated reports, fictional surveillance notes, manufactured evidence chains. Says here you've been dealing for months. Your paperwork is fiction. Multiple witnesses saw drug activity at your address. Name one witness. The detective's pause stretches too long. Anonymous sources. Anonymous sources don't exist in federal court. There's that word again. Federal. The detective's confidence cracks slightly. You think federal court is gonna save you? Diana meets his eyes. I think federal court is where this ends. The sergeant enters without knocking, whispers something urgent in the detective's ear. The detective's face hardens. Step outside. They leave Diana alone in the interview room. Through the thin walls, she hears heated discussion. The computer flagged her as federal law enforcement. So what? So we arrested a federal agent. She's a drug dealer who happens to work for the government. Detective, this is dangerous territory. Diana uses the time alone to mentally catalog every violation. Miranda rights delayed, phone call denied, excessive force during transport. Each violation strengthens her case. The detective returns alone, slams the door harder than necessary. Let's try this again. Who supplies your cocaine? I don't use or distribute cocaine. The evidence says different. The planted evidence. His fist hits the table. Stop saying that! Diana doesn't flinch. Stop planting evidence. The detective leans across the table, invades her personal space. Classic intimidation technique. You think you're smart? Think you can outsmart us? Diana's next statement makes his face go pale. I think you've been under federal investigation for 2 years. The room goes silent except for the flickering fluorescent light. The detective straightens slowly. What did you say? Operation Clean House, ring any bells? The blood drains from his face. Operation Clean House is classified. Only federal investigators and high-level corruption targets know that name. Diana continues, voice steady as stone. Systematic evidence planting, civil rights violations, conspiracy to deprive citizens of constitutional protections. The detective's hands shake slightly. How do you know about your crimes? She doesn't answer. Doesn't need to. The detective backs toward the door. I need to make a call. To Captain Wilson? Or directly to your lawyer? He stops, hand frozen on the door handle. You should choose carefully, Diana says. Your next decisions matter. The detective flees the room, leaves Diana alone with her thoughts and the recording camera. Through the walls, she hears frantic phone calls, damage control meetings, panic spreading through the department like wildfire. Officer Johnson appears in the doorway, nervous energy radiating from her uniform. Ma'am, I brought you water. Johnson sets a paper cup on the table. Her hand brushes Diana's briefly. Something passes between them. Understanding. Alliance. Johnson slips Diana a folded piece of paper. Small, discreet. Diana palms it without looking. Waits until Johnson leaves before reading. FBI knows. Help coming. Stay strong. Relief floods through Diana's chest. The first positive emotion she's felt all night. Her backup knows where she is. Captain Wilson's sudden call-off suggests federal pressure building. The interview room door opens again. Wilson himself appears. Agent Marshall, I apologize for the confusion. Agent Marshall, not suspect, not drug dealer, agent. Wilson's acknowledgement changes everything. The pretense drops. The game ends. Diana stands slowly. I'd like my phone call now. Of course. Johnson slips Diana something unexpected as they walk to the phone. Her federal badge, retrieved from evidence. The relief beat washes over Diana as she holds the familiar weight. Soon, very soon, the real investigation begins. Captain Wilson escorts Diana to the release desk. His smile looks painted on, professional courtesy masking pure terror. All charges dropped pending further investigation. The booking sergeant processes her release papers. His hands move quickly. Too quickly, eager to get her out of the building. Diana collects her personal items, wallet, keys, federal credentials, and her encrypted phone. 23 missed calls from FBI headquarters. Wilson clears his throat. We apologize for any inconvenience. Diana doesn't respond. She signs the release forms in silence. No hard feelings? Wilson tries. Diana looks directly at him. That remains to be seen. The words hang between them like a loaded weapon. Outside the police station, dawn creeps across the horizon. Diana walks to her car, knowing they're watching, tracking her movements. She activates full recording mode on her phone. Every conversation, every interaction, every piece of evidence captured in real time. The phone buzzes immediately. Rodriguez's voice cuts through static. Marshall, are you secure? Negative. Still under surveillance. Copy that. Federal units are in position. Diana starts her car but doesn't drive away. She sits in the parking lot, phone pressed to her ear. Status report, Rodriguez demands. They provided everything we needed. Planted evidence on body camera. Constitutional violations documented. Conspiracy to obstruct justice confirmed. Outstanding work. Through her rearview mirror, Diana watches the police station. Lights burn in every window. Emergency meetings in progress. Sir, they know about Operation Clean House. How? I told them. Rodriguez's laugh crackles through the phone. Perfect. Let them panic. Inside the station, Wilson paces his office. The detective and sergeant sit across from his desk like guilty children. Do you understand what you've done? The detective's voice cracks. We followed procedure. You arrested a federal agent investigating our department. We didn't know. You should have known. Wilson opens his desk drawer, pulls out a thick file labeled Confidential Federal Investigation. She's been watching us for 2 years. The sergeant goes pale. 2 years. Every arrest, every search, every piece of evidence we've ever planted. Wilson throws the file across his desk. Pages scatter. Internal memos, surveillance reports, evidence logs, all documenting their corruption, all signed by Diana Marshall. She has everything, Wilson says quietly. The detective's phone buzzes, text message from an unknown number. Federal warrants executed in 30 minutes. Recommend legal counsel. His hands shake as he shows the message to Wilson. It's over, Wilson says. But Diana's phone shows a different message. From Rodriguez. Federal raid commencing. Operation Clean House enters final phase. Diana starts her engine. Time to go home and wait. Wilson's destruction order comes too late. The evidence has already been uploaded. Secured, distributed to federal prosecutors. Body camera footage lives on federal servers now, beyond local department control. The detective runs to the equipment room, finds the body cameras connected to external networks, federal networks. Every piece of footage automatically backed up to FBI servers. Johnson! He screams. But Johnson left an hour ago, called in sick, won't be back. Diana's phone buzzes with final confirmation. The federal investigation she's been building for 15 years is complete. Every corruption case documented, every civil rights violation recorded, every conspiracy mapped. Tonight's arrest wasn't their victory. It was her evidence collection. The biggest mistake of their careers just became the cornerstone of her federal case. Diana pulls out of the parking lot. In her rearview mirror, the police station burns with desperate activity. Too little. Too late. The real investigation is about to begin. And this time, she won't be the one in handcuffs. At exactly 6 a.m., black SUVs surround Metro Police Station. FBI tactical teams exit in perfect formation. Federal marshals take positions at every entrance. Assistant Director Rodriguez leads the operation personally. Inside the station, Wilson watches through his office window. They're here. The detective and sergeant stand frozen as federal agents pour through the front doors. Rodriguez's voice booms across the station. Federal Bureau of Investigation! This facility is now under federal jurisdiction. Officers scatter like startled birds. Some reach for weapons. Others raise their hands instinctively. Stand down, Rodriguez commands. All personnel will comply with federal authority. Wilson emerges from his office, hands visible. Director Rodriguez, this is irregular. Captain Wilson, you're under arrest for conspiracy to violate civil rights. The words echo through the station like gunshots. Federal agents swarm the building. Evidence teams secure computers. Technical specialists download body camera footage. Legal experts serve warrants. The detective backs against the wall. This is insane! We're police officers. Rodriguez approaches him slowly. Detective Morrison, you're under arrest for evidence tampering, false imprisonment, and deprivation of rights under color of law. I want a lawyer. You'll get one. Rodriguez signals his team. Bring her in. The front doors open again. Diana Marshall enters, no longer in handcuffs. She wears her FBI windbreaker now, federal credentials displayed prominently. The entire station goes silent. Rodriguez holds up Diana's badge for everyone to see. Special Agent Diana Marshall, lead investigator, Operation Clean House. The shock hits the room like a physical wave. Diana wasn't their victim. She was their judge. Rodriguez continues, voice carrying to every corner. Agent Marshall has been investigating this department for 15 years. 15 years. Every arrest they made while she watched, every piece of evidence they planted while she documented, every constitutional violation she recorded. Morrison's face goes white. 15 years? Diana steps forward. Her voice carries the authority of federal law enforcement. Every illegal search, every planted drug charge, every civil rights violation. She pulls out her phone, the same encrypted device they ignored during the raid. 2,000 hours of surveillance footage, 300 recorded conversations, 67 documented evidence plantings. The numbers hit like sledgehammers. Rodriguez takes over. Agent Marshall's investigation has yielded federal indictments against 23 officers. 23. Nearly half the department. Diana opens her case file. The real case file. Federal documentation spanning 15 years. Detective Morrison, 17 confirmed evidence plantings, 43 illegal searches, 26 constitutional violations. Morrison's knees buckle. Sergeant Bradley, 22 evidence tamperings, 31 false arrest reports, conspiracy to obstruct justice. Bradley slumps against the wall. Captain Wilson, conspiracy to operate a criminal enterprise under color of law, systematic violation of citizens' constitutional rights. Wilson closes his eyes. Diana continues reading. Each name, each crime, each piece of evidence meticulously documented. The federal investigation she built brick by brick, case by case, violation by violation. Rodriguez addresses the room. Operation Clean House has documented systematic corruption spanning 2 decades. The timeline stretches back further than anyone imagined. Diana wasn't investigating recent crimes. She was exposing institutional rot. Federal evidence teams wheel out computers, servers' file cabinets, body cameras, everything that might contain additional evidence. Morrison finds his voice. We were just doing our jobs. Diana faces him directly. Planting drugs isn't police work. It's criminal conspiracy. She activates her phone's speaker, plays back audio from the raid. Morrison's voice clear as crystal. Look what we have here. The sound of the evidence bag being pulled from her purse. Then Diana's voice. I watched you plant it. The recording continues. Every word, every threat, every violation. Morrison's own body camera betrayed him. Rodriguez explains to the stunned officers. Agent Marshall's emergency beacon activated during booking. Federal surveillance recorded everything. The pieces clicked together. Diana's calm during arrest, her legal knowledge, her precise questions. She wasn't panicking because she knew backup was coming. She was collecting evidence because that's what federal agents do. Rodriguez holds up another device. This digital recorder was hidden in Agent Marshall's bedroom lamp. It captured the entire raid. The detective who planted evidence. The sergeant who threatened her. The captain who ordered the cover-up. All recorded. All documented. All admissible in federal court. Diana's 15-year investigation culminates in this moment. Every corrupt officer identified. Every crime documented. Every victim vindicated. The evidence doesn't just show individual misconduct. It reveals systematic criminal enterprise. Rodriguez addresses the room one final time. Federal charges will be filed within 24 hours. The machinery of justice begins turning, and Diana Marshall, after 15 years of patient investigation, finally has her case. Morrison's corruption file is 6 inches thick. The evidence goes back 15 years. Tonight wasn't about drugs or noise complaints. It was about justice delayed finally becoming justice delivered. 6 months later, federal district court buzzes with anticipation. The corruption trial of the decade reaches its conclusion. Diana Marshall sits at the prosecutor's table. 15 years of investigation condensed into evidence boxes stacked 10 feet high. Judge Harrison reviews the verdict forms. 23 defendants. Hundreds of charges. Systematic justice finally served. Has the jury reached a verdict? The foreman stands. We have, Your Honor. Morrison sits in the defendant's chair, federal orange replacing his police uniform. His hands shake as the foreman speaks. On the charge of conspiracy to violate civil rights under color of law, we find the defendant guilty. Diana allows herself a small smile, the first guilty verdict in a case built on 15 years of patience. On the charge of evidence tampering, guilty. On the charge of false imprisonment, guilty. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Each verdict echoes through the courtroom like thunder. Bradley receives 12 years federal prison. Wilson gets 15. Morrison draws 20. Their badges meant nothing. Their uniforms provided no protection. Federal law applies to everyone. Diana's testimony sealed their fate. Cool, professional, devastating. She recounted every planted drug charge, every illegal search, every constitutional violation. The jury listened with growing horror as the scope of corruption emerged. Not individual misconduct, systematic criminal enterprise. After the sentencing, Diana steps into the courthouse hallway. Reporters swarm with questions. Agent Marshall, how long did this investigation take? 15 years of careful documentation. What message does this send? Diana considers the question. Justice requires patience, courage, and people willing to work within the system to change it. She pauses, choosing her words carefully. Truth doesn't disappear. It waits for the right moment to surface. The reporters scribble frantically. This quote will lead tomorrow's headlines. Sarah Johnson approaches through the crowd. She testified for the prosecution, turned state's evidence, chose conscience over corruption. Agent Marshall? Diana turns. Thank you for giving me the chance to do the right thing. You made that choice yourself. Johnson's testimony proved crucial. The insider perspective that corroborated Diana's evidence. Her career survived, transferred to federal task force work. A new beginning earned through moral courage. Diana walks to her car, passing protesters on the courthouse steps. Signs demanding police reform. Community voices finally heard. Some changes happen overnight. Others take decades. This investigation began with whispered rumors about planted evidence. It ended with federal convictions and systematic reform. New training protocols implemented. Body camera requirements strengthened. Federal oversight expanded. The community healing process begins slowly. Trust rebuilds one interaction at a time. Diana's phone buzzes. Rodriguez calling from headquarters. Outstanding work, Marshall. The corruption unit wants to discuss your next assignment. Diana looks back at the courthouse. Justice served, but more work waiting. What's the case? Immigration detention facilities, systematic abuse allegations. Could take years to build, years of undercover work, patient evidence gathering, methodical justice building. I'll take it. This is what she does, who she is. Federal agent, truth seeker, justice builder. Reform doesn't happen overnight, but it happens. One corrupt system at a time, one patient investigation at a time. Diana drives away from the courthouse, knowing her next case file is already waiting. The work continues. The mission endures. Justice delayed isn't justice denied when truth-tellers persist. Morrison will serve 20 years in federal prison. Bradley, 12. Wilson, 15. Their victims receive compensation. Their crimes enter permanent record, and Diana Marshall returns to the field, ready to spend another 15 years building the next case. Because corruption hides in darkness. But federal agents work in light, and light always wins. Eventually, the community rebuilds, the system reforms, the truth survives. One case at a time, one patient investigation at a time. Justice served through dedication, persistence, and unwavering commitment to constitutional law. Diana's next case begins tomorrow. The work never ends. But neither does the mission. Truth, justice. Federal law applied equally to everyone, even those who wear badges, especially those who wear badges.
You've seen the story. Now what will you do with it? At Beat Stories, we believe reflection is good, but action is better. Subscribe, share, speak, because awareness is only the first step.